Johnny Walker, a fan favorite in the light heavyweight division, makes his return, and he's facing the hot rising Zhang Mingyang out of China. The prospect is real, the division is real, and I think we need some Johnny Walker more than ever right now, folks. You got a fun, exciting fighter, which no matter the outcome, you know you're going to see something entertaining. Folks, breaking it down with me, as always, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native, AJ. UFC Fight Pass has been rolling, and it's just playing, of course, a bunch of Johnny Walker highlights, you know, all of his fights and whatnot. And I really think now more than ever, we need the energy, brother. Everybody's mad because you had a Chimaev performance at UFC 319 that was very dominant and impressive, but some people will say wrestling is boring. Ankalaev, boring. He shot 1 million takedowns, couldn't get it. It was a boring fight against Alex Paeta. And now you got Johnny Walker, who says, live or die by the sword. Can the man get his first win since 2023? There we go. Can he get the first win since then? We'll see. I don't know. How you feeling, brother?
We'll see, brother, but I couldn't agree with you more on that intro, Derek. I was off screen, but I was chuckling over here because I'm with you. That is Johnny Walker and the style that he brings in, the energy and the excitement, the shit talking, everything that he exudes is what the UFC needs right now in all its divisions, bar none.
Now, some would argue that the UFC is setting my man up for failure right here because you got a killer in Zhang Mingyang who is going to walk you down, straight punches, elbows, everything in between. And if Johnny Walker isn't on P's and Q's, it could be a short night. But that's what makes for a fun fight night, folks. Again, this is in Shanghai, China. So I don't know how many people are going to be watching this one. For my time, the main card starts at 3 a.m. Pacific. AJ, I think you're a little bit more lucky, which is like 1 for you or maybe 5 o'clock, maybe a little bit later. Earlier in the morning. What do you think?
No, if it's 3 p.m. Pacific for you or 3 a.m. for you, Derek, it's 1 a.m. for me, brother.
Oh, that's, I mean, listen, maybe you might stay up. We'll see. Anyways, no one's watching this one, folks, but we still got a breakdown for you. Before we jump into the breakdown, folks, we do want to do a quick UFC 319 recap. We did not cover the programs. Apologies. Had some last notice technical difficulty stuff that we ran into, but we got some reactions for you, and that's what counts. AJ, let's go ahead and let's talk about it, brother. Not this week's card right here, but let's talk about that performance. The new champ, Chimaev, it almost felt predetermined, if you will. But a lot of people thought Chimaev could be a champion. A lot of people thought that he could beat Duplessis. I don't know how many people thought it would be that dominant and that lack of just meaningful impact from the South African right there. He was being claimed as going to be like the new real king, the new reigning champion over the division who's going to keep the belt forever, the next better version of Adesanya. Come to find out, he actually just never fought any wrestlers. And the moment that he did, it went downhill from there. So what were your thoughts on the performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was the Hamzat show, Derek. I was one of the ones that expected DDP to put up a better fight, right? I expected Chimaev to win, but I did not see it being that dominant. And it is what it was. I mean, you crucifix for 12 minutes total time in the entire fight. It did raise a lot of eyebrows to be like, yeah, DDP was the guy. Now we see how dominant Hamzat is, but why can you not just get the fight finished like you have everybody else besides the elites? So it does prove DDP is among the elites. But I mean, this is going to be the Hamzat show, and this is the fights we're going to be expecting for at least the foreseeable future.
Yeah, man. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. It's ridiculous. 529 total strikes for Chimaev, 45 for DDP, 21 minutes of control. And honestly, it should have been more because the referee, forgive me, I'm blanking on the name, Goddard, there we go, actually, Mark Goddard, he stood him up multiple times when he was just clearly in the driver's seat controlling him. And I personally think that that's when you get that message in the earpiece that's like, hey, listen, bro, let him up. You know, we need something. You got to give DDP a chance for an exciting finish or something like that. That's the entertainment. But to close as minus 275 for Chimaev, where you looked minus 1,500, I just thought that was pretty impressive. So, yeah, it's going to be the Chimaev show for quite some time. DDP in rematches, those words should not be uttered in this matchup specifically. But it also goes to show, man, in MMA, the sport moves incredibly fast. Israel Adesanya and his style, I feel like, has aged out incredibly fast. Robert Whittaker himself, as we've seen, gatekeeper still, right? Still like up there, still a litmus test, but you've aged out very fast. The really good fighters from like 2017 to 2020 are not the really good fighters from 2025, which should be obvious. But, you know, I think it's a sentimental sport. Would you agree? It's sentimental because you don't want to see your favorites kind of get dusted out and get sent to the back of the queue. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely, Derek. And I think with how the MMA landscape has evolved, it's sentimental because when we were growing up watching this and getting scraps and stuff like that, like with the developing the love for the sport, our favorite fighters would last, multiple decades, even multiple years at the very least, where they were the dominant champ, they were the dominant person, the GSPs of the world, everybody else. So now when it's a 2-year stint, it does make it seem like, oh wow, this whole game has changed. No longer can you be the diehard fan of that one fighter for longer than 5-year span.
That's it. No fairy tale endings, very few at least. All right, let's talk about a couple more really quickly here, man. Lerone Murphy and Aaron Pico, one of the back-to-back spinning back elbow finishes on the main card, made it super exciting. But yeah, Pico walked in reckless, big body shots. You do that against a high caliber fighter like Lerone Murphy, and you're asking for trouble. He got the job done. It was super impressive, but I think that his stock is going to be raised in a way where he's an undefeated fighter, moves to 18-0-1. But yeah, if you fight Volkanovski next, I do not, and I better not see him as a favorite against Volk, because if so, that's easy money that we're cashing on Alexander the Great. What do you think?
100%, Derek. That was what I had noted. Like, this showed that Murphy is that good. He is that dominant, no matter whether you call it an off performance from Pico or not. Yeah, he was reckless going in there, but Lerone timed it very, very nicely. But I agree with you, Derek. If he comes in at a minus money on a big dog, it's easy money for us.
That's it. And Movsar Evloev, again, gets the short end of the stick, man. Getting passed up again. Prates, he bounced back against Jeff Neal. This one was a Looney Tunes knockout right there. Just the reaction from Jeff Neal. You got hit so hard. That Johnny Walker-esque fell down, you know what I mean? But hey, listen, if you're not putting him on his butt, Prates is going to be a big problem right there. MVP kept it rolling. Another win at middleweight where he was discounted, man. Cannonier's like, this dude ain't even a real middleweight. What's going on? The style of MVP is too tricky, bro. I just don't know. Like we had mentioned, right? We did a whole entire story of the week about like maybe you could fast track your way to a championship shot, brother. At 185, I don't know if you want that shot against Chimaev. What do you think?
That's what I was thinking, Derek. As good as MVP looks at the middleweight division, man, if he continues fighting these fighters, he's going to end up on the ground more often than not, and that's not where he succeeds.
But he's fun. Keep giving him fun fights. And then, spoiler, Kai Asakura, man, back-to-back losses to start off your UFC stint. Old man Tim Elliott gets the job done. Got the guillotine choke. You love to see it, man. Plus 240. That's the dog of the week right there in Tim Elliott. Any thoughts on the performance?
Dog of the week, brother. It was this was one where I wasn't too in tune to the fight when it started, but once Tim Elliott started going, man, the awkward style he has, drawn in, locked in, it was a good show, man. I'm happy for Tim Elliott. It's a rough one for Asakura, but he's still young where he can bounce back.
That's fair. All right, folks, that is going to be more or less your UFC 319 recap. The big story was the Chimaev show right there. Let's see what's next for the Wolf. But again, we're here to recap UFC Shanghai. And AJ, brother, do you have yourself a sleeper for us? So
it's time for some fight night.
If you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
Folks, we got a very fun one and a very fun fight with two dangerous and proficient submission specialists right here. We're going Yi Zha versus Weston Wilson in the 145-pound division right here, folks. Yi Zha, this guy is patient, has a consistent approach, uses the striking to close the distance, and he gets his hands on you. 3 wins in the road to the UFC, but 0-2 under the big lights. He's got a lot to prove in this fight right here. Weston Wilson, this guy, tall, scrappy, very technical fighter all around, right? Technical striking on the outside, looks to finish the fight when he gets his hands on you. Here's what you need to know, folks. Both fighters are in the building stages of their career, and someone, either both or dependently in the C-suite of the UFC is banking on both of these men's futures right here. Wilson started off 0-2 with very, very tough opponents, and now you can say they're starting to give him some more favorable matchups in there and build him into the star they might see. Similar to Yi Zha in that road to the UFC, there's a lot of investment going into these fighters right here. 36 combined finishes between these two. 25 of those are submissions. Expect a washing machine style fight right here. Both fighters have to prove they belong with the elite.
This is going to be fun, dude. Some of these fighters coming from the road to the UFC in this like Chinese fight circuit right here reminds me a lot of like the Southeast Asian fighters that you see coming out of Thailand, or even just the Muay Thai fighters who have a million fights. And you're like, how do you have so many fights? Might not be against the stiffest of opposition, but it gives you a ton of experience. And these two have a ton of experience. So that is going to be a fun one. Folks, That's your sleeper.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
Johnny Walker. I said it's Johnny Walker fight week. That's always a treat, always a pleasure. And AJ, man, like I said, you got a tough task in front of you against Zhang Mingyang right here. Listen, let's just talk about recent form. As I had mentioned, Johnny Walker has not won a fight since 2023, and it was against Anthony Smith. Now, can you discount that, given that Zhang Mingyang just had a super impressive performance against the retirement fight version of Anthony Smith? So not quite the same version, but, has the win aged very well for either one of these fighters? Because that's arguably one of the bigger names that both of them have on their resume. But does it speak as much today in August 2025 as we're recording this?
More so the Johnny Walker fight, if you're a big enough Anthony Smith fan to remember what he was like back then. And it was still getting to that time where we weren't so sure if he was as dominant as he was. So I think that one ages a little bit better, but across the board, Derick, not really. Like the where we've seen now and the style of fights, especially coming from Johnny Walker, none of them really look that good.
Well, this was the post cartoon knockout against Jamal Hill fight from Johnny Walker. You know what I mean? So this was like the resurgence. This was that 3-fight win streak. You get the no contest against Ankalaev where he doesn't know where he's at. I'm somewhere in the desert, losing to Ankalaev outright, getting knocked out. And then, Volkan Ozdemir. Those are the follow-up performances after the Anthony Smith fight. So we just need to see what form he's in. I know he's been gym hopping. Things have been a little bit different, but do you remember that sweet spot, AJ, that little bit of time? The poised Johnny Walker showed, the patient Johnny Walker, where it was kind of in that Anthony Smith bag where he just sat in the middle of the cage, owned the center of the octagon, and just picked you apart. Leg kicks, poised. Do you remember that version?
Oh, 100%. That was polished Johnny Walker. That was the resurgence time, Derick. That was that.
So that's like if I'm looking for Johnny Walker who's going to win this fight, I almost feel like I have to see that. Now, Mingyang, when you watch his tape, that's like what he's proficient at, bro. He's going to pressure you, but he owns the center of that cage. Straight shots. He'll drop in the elbows. He'll counter your pressure with the step-in elbows and all that, but he's just not as wild and wacky as Johnny Walker, which one hand you would say you kind of need a little bit of that to create some chaos. On the other hand, you say if you get too much out of your bag, Zhang is going to put you down. Look at the amount of first-round finishes. You cannot look at a name on his record here that has gone outside of the first round. I actually don't know if he's ever gone outside of the first round, yet alone reached the second. AJ, I think I have on my notes that round one is as far as he has gone. Can you correct me on that one? Do you know if that's true?
It looks like it, Derick.
Bro, I'm saying. So that leaves us some uncertainty. Let's talk about the numbers right here. FanDuel, of course, is going to be the preferred book that we're going to talk numbers on here. Mingyang, almost a minus 400 favorite, plus 280 comeback for Johnny Walker, and the man has never seen a second round. Johnny Walker can't play the upset. He could be a live dog right here. Break this one down, AJ. How you seeing it?
That was what I was about to say, Derick. Johnny Walker is very much a live dog right here. And this was probably the hardest fight I had to go back and forth on, battling with some of the homies on just taking outlooks on exactly what's happening. Because if the poise Johnny Walker does show up, but adds a little bit of that chaos, because I personally think that Zhang Mingyang is more polished, more technical, and Johnny Walker can't necessarily fight that fight against him, but he has to draw the fight out and then cut some angles, cut some corners, fight long, do some damage, and not get hit. Have that chaotic speed on the exit, and don't leave your chin high when you're entering, because that is going to be the ultimate downfall of if Johnny Walker gets knocked out. Now, if Zhang Mingyang isn't able to start finding those connections, that once the fight draws a little bit longer, that's where it really comes into play, and that's when Johnny Walker is going to be more dangerous, because now the power, the tenacity starts to fall off for Mingyang, and then that's when Johnny Walker's athleticism could really take over. So he is very much a live dog in this fight. I so much. If the odds were a little bit better, I'd be willing to go bet on Johnny Walker. But the way they are right now, it doesn't make sense to not bet on Mingyang.
Well, there's one thing that you can definitely bet on, I think, here, and it's looking at the total, man. 1.5 rounds is what I'm tracking right here, plus 235 for the over, minus 195 for the under. If you like that one, I mean, that's almost minus 200 just for the fight to go under 1.5 rounds. That's what, 7.5 minutes right there. Are you taking it?
For the under?
Are you taking the under here?
I think so, Derek. I think so. I think with the chaos, both of them are going to bring in the violence that needs to happen in this kind of fight, especially with how Johnny Walker has been performing. I see the under hitting on this.
I'm gonna see right here. Let's see. So this is again FanDuel right here. Mingyang by TKO minus 240. Johnny Walker by TKO plus 500. That's kind of ridiculous. Fight to go the distance. No, minus 1600 right here. I'm trying to see what else they got here for us, man. 5-round betting. I mean, yeah, they're not giving us it. I just wanted to see fight to end in a knockout minus 500. It's no value anywhere really. The best value you're going to get is probably going to be on that total, man. So I think that's going to be a fair one if you're uncertain. But I think that this is a relatively safe pick right here in Zhang. Yes, it's undetermined in terms of like you don't have that long experience. Can Johnny Walker win a 5-round decision? Would be unheard of, but yeah, I mean it's in the realm of possibility. But I just think it's as simple as you got the more technical in his pocket style of fighter in Zhang Mingyang, and then you have Johnny Walker, who's going to be a little bit more reckless, but that's part of the advantage. That's also the baked-in disadvantage right here. To be frank, bro, I just don't know what version we're going to see. It's really hard betting on a Johnny Walker fight that way. So I'll say very confident Zhang pick right here. Knockout under 1.5. I think that's consensus, right?
Consensus.
But, folks, probably not one that you want to bet the house on right here. The odds are just a little bit too steep, but this is a very, very heavy consensus pick right here. So that's your main event right there, folks. Enjoy a fun one. Just enjoy a fun Johnny Walker fight week, if there's anything I could say. You know what I mean? All right. So let's go ahead and let's keep it pushing to the co-main event, man. A surprising co-main event because not the matchup necessarily. Aljo, Brian Ortega. It's featherweight, so Aljo's going to have to start having these higher profile matchups right here. But to go from Movsar Evloev to T-City Brian Ortega, and for whatever reason, they said, let's make it 5 rounds, which you remember, AJ, it wasn't that long ago where that was an exception, right? I think it was the Nate Diaz Leon Edwards fight where they're like, all right, we'll start these 5-round fights. Now it's just everybody and anybody. Like, what are your thoughts on this being 5 rounds?
I'm even glad Aljo said something because he was like, I don't know if Brian asked, but we got 2 extra rounds and not getting paid any more for it. I don't know why we're doing this. Yeah, I don't see why, but I mean, they are 2 championship level fighters, so they should be expected to go 5 rounds. Maybe that's a thought process behind it, but it does add more time to the card.
Yeah, add more time to the card for sure. I think, in my opinion, whoever was responsible for this choice, you just made it a very easy lean towards Aljamain Sterling. I think this 100% favors Aljamain Sterling. 5 rounds in this one because I could see 3 rounds T-City, you know, like if they keep it standing and maybe there's a little a bit being tentative. I don't know the right term to use, but if there's a little bit of being tentative to go ahead and engage in the grappling, I think that T-City, bro, I think he can actually land the harder shots here, which sounds a little silly, but his striking, I mean, I was watching him going 5 rounds with Korean Zombie, you know what I mean? Like, you've seen the boxing, you've seen the kickboxing. Korean Zombie is, I mean, at the late stage of his career, it's nothing to really applaud, you know, but it's something. Because Aljamain Sterling, who has he struggled against? Some of those like longer pinpoint strikers. That's not what Brian Ortega presents, but he's never struggled with the guy who wants to grapple a little bit. Like that's always where he's at the advantage. And I would argue here, AJ, maybe it's a little bit of a hot take, but I would argue here that Aljamain Sterling could put on a Hamza Chimaev-esque performance against Brian Ortega with the chest to chest and the back to chest grappling exchanges of pure control. I'm not saying submission threat and all of that stuff against him. I'm just talking about pure control. You watch him against Petr Yan. You watch him against why am I blanking on the freaking name, bro? TJ Dillashaw. You watch him against the I'm blanking on all the names, man. I'm gonna have to pull up the board, but you know what I mean. You watch him against all the best grapplers, and he's doing great. Movsar Evloev, Henry Cejudo. Apologies, these are the people that I'm thinking about. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with you, Derek. I mean, I don't think that's a hot take at all, to be honest. I think if Brian Ortega and Aljamain Sterling end up getting into the grapple exchanges, we're going to see T-City accept the bottom position more often than not, looking for the submission. Well, Aljo is fine with sitting in the backpack, just staying in position, like you said, keeping chest to chest, maintaining a dominant position. So that way he can just kind of work and delay the fight and end up with a decision. And I think think that's what a lot of this 5-round has to go to. Now he's even more so inclined to not put in the effort, or well, I guess not exert himself too much early in the rounds, so that way he is able to have a 5-round dominant performance.
Yeah, bro. Just mat returns. Just riding the back, control time. I think that's what he's going to be looking for. TC said something about I wouldn't mind just standing and banging, and I'm like, man, I still don't even know if that's necessarily something that he wants per se, because I think his best shot to finish this is a reckless entry, front choke, and finish the fight, man. Let's get back to the origins of T City, bro. Let's look at the obviously this is the hit list between the two, man, but 8 submission victories for both of them. What happened to that? The last submission victory, Yair Rodriguez, I'm not counting that. All right. That was too easy. When you watch that fight, you're like, dude, this was just too easy. It was what, arm triangle choke or something like that. You just got him down and got him out of there easy. Let's talk about a real nasty decision. Or submission, excuse me. Yeah, Hanato Moicano, Cub Swanson, like back in those days, that's when you were seeing like that real T-City magic right there, which you just don't see. Ever since the Frankie Edgar fight, where he got that knockout, he uppercutted him off of his feet. Ever since that one, you've been seeing this dude just try to brawl with these guys, man. Max Holloway, Korean Zombie, Volk. I mean, he arguably had the choke against Volk. Volk just got no neck, you know what I mean? He was able to get out. But yeah, man, I think Aljamain Sterling uses wrestling, beats jiu-jitsu in this one, because while Ortega has fantastic jiu-jitsu, I don't think he has a very good anti-wrestling style of fight. What else do you have to add to this?
Man, you hit the nail on the head, Derek. The only way I was trying to think, if Brian Ortega would love to stand and bang, the one place I do think he can strive or find a little bit more success than Aljo Sterling is the extended combinations. Let Aljo start throwing some stuff. You're sending back, you hit first and third, and you're able to find those moments where he's just a little bit out of position because he's hunting for a takedown. You can find some magic in there. You can put a combo together and then find the choke after that one. That could be a possibility for Brian Ortega right here. But I think the majority of the outcomes favor Aljo.
Yeah, man. And again, Aljamain Sterling, a lot of his best work that you're seeing with his control is doing these shots where his head is on the outside of the hip. And again, you do that against Ortega, he's going to jump a guillotine. He's going to work that front choke, work a Darce, work an Anaconda, something like that. All right, man, let's just take a quick look at some numbers right here. So as you can see, the odds, minus 290 Sterling, plus 225 here for Brian Ortega. But let's get into the nitty gritty right here, man. Let me see what they got here for us. Method of victory, Aljo by points, which I think is incredibly lucrative here at plus 105 over 5 rounds. You're going from what we originally had him at, which was what, minus 265. So you're going from minus 265 money line, and you're getting plus money. I think you jump on that. What do you think?
I think you smash that, especially if you're an Aljo better right here. The over is 4.5. I'm tracking at minus money, minus 186 too. So still good. Like that's still not bad at all. But I mean, Aljo by points at plus money, that's probably how this 9 times out of 10, how this fight goes.
Yeah, man. And if you do get an under right here, it's probably going to be a submission from T-City. What are you getting for that submission? Plus 750. They're giving him no shot. They think that the wrestler Aljo is just going to be too much here for him. And I kind of agree, to be fair. All right, what else we got right here? Got submission props, KO props, how the fight will end. Submission, so by points, minus 185 for the fight to end by points, which I actually think that's pretty good either way. I think both of these dudes are very durable, even though Aljo got one-shotted by Sean O'Malley, you know what I mean? I think he's pretty durable otherwise. So minus 185 by points if you want to play it safe right there. But again, I think it's fair to say another consensus pick, Aljamain Sterling. Decision, are you taking this home as a bet? Are you taking this as a pick?
I'm taking this as a pick, Derek, but only because I have a lot of faith in T-City. So there's some things that go there. But if I'm looking to bet this one, I think this fight by points minus 185 is the smartest bet you can place on this one.
All right, fair. It is minus money, but it's less than 2-1 right there. So you got yourself a pick right there for the co-main, folks. Let's keep it pushing, keep it rolling on along, man. How did we get here? Sergey Pavlovich versus Salsa Boy. Waldo Cortes-Acosta. All love, bro. all love, but I've been betting against this man religiously, and I've been losing every single time. Let's show some respect right here. The man is on a 5-fight win streak, one of the better things that has happened to the heavyweight division, and they have now said we are going to give you the penultimate test right here, because if you beat Sergey Pavlovich, you have to be in line for a title shot right here. You have to be one of the next in line for Tom Aspinall after Cyril Gane. But I said Sergey Spivak beats him. I said Ryan Spann beats him. Robles Despain, I didn't bet against him on that one because we all knew Despain, that was a weird situation. Arlovsky beats him. Bretsky, all right, now that was the beginning of the run. But listen, man, this dude will jab your face off and dance around you for 15 minutes, bro. You know what I mean? Hey, it works. Volume in heavyweight fights apparently works. Pavlovich, he can one-shot you real quick. He can get you out of there. The power, the first 5 minutes of this fight, I think, is going to be the deal breaker, because if AJ, my take on this fight is very simple. If Pavlovich does not finish him within 5 minutes, Salsa Boy dances on him for 15 and wins the fight, jabs his face off. What do you think?
I can see though either of those outcomes coming to fruition, Derek. We were talking about it before, where you were saying we need some Johnny Walker in the UFC right across all divisions. Salsa Boy brings that same kind of energy, excuse me, and he's willing to put that kind of fight together where he's willing to style on you for 15 minutes, especially if you're not doing damage. He's going to make you look like a fool out there. And the gas tank that we've seen in Pavlovich definitely raises some concerns, because once he starts going and then a little bit of damage comes his way, his output drops, his volume drops, everything really starts getting a little bit more luggish going in for Pavlovich. And the power can be there at any point, but it's less likely to hit the longer the fight goes.
Well, good news for Pavlovich. You have the reach advantage in this one, man. 84-inch reach right here. You got about a 6-inch reach advantage. Good news. But Salsa Boy fights long, and Alexander Volkov picked apart Pavlovich, man. You know, it's almost, it makes you think, it's like, is this going to be a repeat of that fight if he can't land the kill shot? Because Pavlovich, he does tend to load up for that big shot. Now, there's going to be a little bit of here we go again. They're going to be a little tentative, I think, on the feet, you know what I mean? But it's just a matter of like, can Pavlovich land the big one, bro? 15 knockouts, you know, and Waldo Cortes-Acosta, the thing you got to love at heavyweight is 7 decisions, even though, how come? Okay, let's ask this question, AJ. Let's look at the span. Okay, you got 2 knockouts on this win streak right here. You really don't got a lot of knockouts. Do they give him the Martin Buday treatment? How come he doesn't get the Martin Buday treatment? Is it because he dances a little bit more in the cage? You know, like it's the same outcome, more or less. It's like slightly more exciting, but you're never like, dude, I want to watch a Salsa Boy fight. Like, you're never tuning in to watch this dude fight necessarily. What's with that?
He brings a little something else, Derek. I agree with you. Nobody's clamoring for a Salsa Boy fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan. I like seeing him in there. But if there was a little more damage, I do think people would be there. But he still does provide a draw, especially for the Costa fans. Like he does have a following going forward. And I've been saying it for a long time. It is an entertainment business, and he does provide entertainment to those fans.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. Last thing before we jump into the actual numbers on this one, man. Listen, Pavlovich, murderous 1-2 right here. But the one thing that we have to take into consideration, because this is what we started the program talking about, the resumes don't ring as nice as maybe we want them to, even though we recognize the name. So if you look left to right on this screen, Pavlovich, you're like, dude, what? You got Mo Green, you got Shamil Abdurakhimov, Lewis, Tuivasa, Blades, of course, Champion and Aspinall, Volkov, Rosenstruck. Like, you got names, right? But Rosenstruck no longer in the UFC. Curtis Blades, gatekeeper of the heavyweight division. Tuivasa hasn't won a fight in forever. Lewis, his balls are hot. That's probably the only reason he's still in here. You know what I mean? Let's be fair. Abdurakhimov, what happened to him? Mo Green no longer. It's not nearly as good as it sounds, even though we recognize the names. I wouldn't say it's nearly as good for Cortes-Acosta too. I just think that this puts Pavlovich in a hot seat of a must-win fight right here. So all the pressure's on him, and Salsa Boy, even with the big loss, adds to the resume right here. And you're still in that, especially if you can make it slightly competitive. So I say all of that to say the total, or the odds that we have right here, bro, minus 235 for Pavlovich, which I think is on the money right here, plus 180 for Cortes-Acosta. But Acosta is he's a dog money machine here, bro. People are making bank on this dude up his rise on the heavyweight ladder. So is this a smash spot for a dog, or realistically, do you think it is fair that Pavlovich is such a favorite?
Man, look at that red line rise, folks. People are betting, people are putting money on Waldo Cortes-Acosta right here. And I can see why, especially if this fight goes past the 1.5 rounds. I don't know what the over is right on this one, but especially if this fight goes longer. Like the Waldo Cortes-Acosta has a real ability to be able to win this fight in a style that no other heavyweight, or at least a couple of the heavyweights, are only able to do. So I smash spot, I don't know, Derek. I do believe in the power of Pavlovich. I do believe he can get in there. Hopefully he's able to maintain a little longer in a duration of a fight, but we'll see. I still think it's a reasonable line for Pavlovich to have.
Sure. And ESPN's giving me dog shit numbers right here. FanDuel's not loading for me, but what I tracked for the total was 1.5 minus 165 for the over, plus 135 for the under, which is very telling, because if you're going to go over, are they banking on a Pavlovich decision victory right here? You know what I mean?
I wouldn't be banking on a Pavlovich decision victory. I mean, Pavlovich by points is plus 350. So I don't think they're doing that either, Derek. But I'm tracking it now. I just pulled it up. Over 1.5 is minus 150. So that's an interesting juxtaposition, because I would have given the over to the Waldo Cortes bettors right here. I think if you're going Pavlovich, I mean, KO or money line is probably the ways to go, or an under.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll see. You got to be first. Whoever lands first in some of these exchanges is probably going to be the victor. We do have contentious pick right here, folks. So I'm going to rock Waldo Cortes-Acosta, dog money. It's one of these where, listen, man, you bet against them, you lose so many times. We're going to have to reverse it. Maybe I'm the jinx. We'll see. But you got Sergey Pavlovich right here. May the best man win. What's the bet for the people right here? Talk to me, man. Let's finish this up. Is this a bet? Is this a pick? I'm going bet Waldo Cortes-Acosta. That's my confidence meter right there. How do you see it?
I'm not as confident, Derek. I like the over. Yeah, I like the over. I still like Pavlovich. What I'm hoping for right here is he's going to be a little bit more patient instead of just running full force into Waldo Cortes-Acosta, and have a little bit more gas tank. And in fact, when I saw the who's betting on who for this fight, I was a little surprised at first, and then I started taking it back, thinking, I was like, man, Cortes, he can have some chance or some play right here to get going. So I'm taking it as a pick for the people to win money. Over and under is a play right here, depending on which way you roll. I like the over.
Yeah, I'll take that too. And listen, you might not like it, but the man delivers results, and that's the fight game right there, folks. All right, moving on. We got Sumudaerji versus Kevin Borjas right here, man. Fun fight in the flyweight division. And AJ, this was an interesting one to me, because you got like a finisher in Sumudaerji right here versus a Kevin Borjas who is always underestimated, in my opinion. I think it'd be fair to say he's kind of an underestimated fighter, but he brings a lot of fight, right? Now, the question ultimately is going to become, how do we make money on this fight? Because Sumudaerji, being the finisher that he is also coming off of his own mishaps, if you will. You know what I mean? Like, he's looking to right the ship. Kevin Borjas is looking to right the ship right here. And we need to see some excitement come out of here to see who's going to rise up that flyweight rung. So talk to us, brother. What do you got? How are you seeing this matchup?
Yeah, this one's an interesting one, Derek, because I saw especially the numbers, how they're playing out. I can see why they're there, right? Why Sumudaerji is the favorite going into this. But I agree with you, with the style that Kevin Borjas fights, I can see Sumudaerji falling into the same traps that he has previously fallen into. So Sumudaerji, right, long striking, he's very sturdy stance, but he's going to be looking to fight on the outside, evade, land the power, avoid the takedowns, right? That's his big thing. Anytime we've seen him on the bottom, he's absolutely getting smashed on. So those are one of the big things to avoid for him. And Kevin Borjas has the slick boxing to be able to find himself and put himself in those positions to hurt Sumudaerji. He just got to be able to find the good counters, find the combos, and when he's in the pocket, really throw a frenzy where Sumudaerji doesn't have the most power, but just avoid that clinch game that he has. It could be an interesting one, Derek. We could have another live dog in Borjas right here.
Yeah, one of the things about Borjas that I kind of don't like sometimes is that he almost fights as like an outside fighter, even though he's the one who really needs to like get in. He'll have his flurries, right? But I think of Sumudaerji, I think it's very straightforward in this one. If Sumudaerji can fight long, if you can hit him with the long, like straight shots, hit him with a couple of those check hooks, and most importantly, try to beat up the legs the way that Costa, but Alexandre Costa, I'm blanking on his name, but when he finished him with leg kicks, if you can beat up the legs, pick them apart from the outside, I think that you can cruise to a pretty definitive victory. What's the money line on this one, AJ?
Money line on this one, 170 minus 175 for Sumudaerji, plus 150 comeback for Kevin Borjas right here.
Okay, so yeah, I remember seeing that this line was a little bit closer than I anticipated. Like I thought Sumudaerji would be a little bit more of a heavy favorite right here. The interesting thing to me is that if Borjas isn't grappling in any capacity, which I don't anticipate necessarily right here, I think it could be maybe a smart play. I mean, you look at Mitch Raposo, he was able to win that fight, Sumudaerji. Look at the Matt Schnell fight, you know what I mean? Like some of that stuff. But if you're not doing it and you're just strictly striking with him, I think Sumudaerji by decision can cash a lot of money right here. What is the decision line looking like for Sumudaerji?
The odds makers agree with you, Derick. Sumudaerji by points plus 115. And if he sticks to that path, right? If he sticks to that fighting at length, I agree with you. That's going to be his best past victory right here. The one caveat I see, Sumudaerji is down for a dogfight, and Kevin Borjas needs to bring that kind of fight to win this one. So I think that's why it's a little closer to even money right here at plus 115 instead of something like a plus 300, plus 250 comeback.
Yeah, and I believe in Sumudaerji to last and be a little fresher fighter over 15 minutes more than I do for Borjas. He just fades a little bit. Accuracy kind of goes out the window the longer the fight goes. So I think this one's pretty straightforward right here, man. I think that the consensus pick should be Sumudaerji, but I see that look right there. AJ, give us some parting words. Do you think Sumudaerji is going to be the one that fades first?
No. Sorry, I was thinking about something else, Derick. The over right here is 2.5 minus 260 for the over. Sumudaerji by points at plus money is a smash spot all day if you're confident in this guy going in to win this fight.
That's the one right there. You never know, though. Like I said, Borjas is one of those ones right here. So I like this one as a bet. I'm confident in this one as a bet right here. But keep Borjas in the back of your mind. That's definitely like an interesting hedge play, depending on how you see it. But to open us up here, AJ. All right, I'm gonna butcher this one, but I like the way the man fights. So I'm gonna learn your name once you get a couple of wins. Tayalik Nueraji. I know that was probably pretty. Was it good? Was it all right?
Nailed it, brother. At least the way I've been hearing it. I could be wrong as well, but Tayalik Nueraji.
Right on, versus Kiefer Crosbie in the welterweight division. Listen, man, Kiefer Crosbie, you got to tell me what his last 3 or 4 are looking like right here, man, because he's been victim of some submission losses right here. Thankfully, you're not giving him a wrestler, you're not giving him a submission fighter, but what has his last couple been looking like?
In the last 5, Derick, 3 round 1 submission losses, 2 round 1 KO wins. So Kiefer Crosbie, he can put the knuckles to work, but he does have a serious kryptonite going forward.
Compact kickboxer, high-level kickboxer. I'm not sure if he's still with SBG Ireland, but I know he's a very, very good striker. Nueraji, the thing I like about him, bro, and this is kind of reminiscent to like a Johnny Walker-esque criticism here. The man has a lot of different techniques, side kicks, hook kicks, spinning kicks, elbows, like all types of stuff. If he takes a less is more approach and just stays long and fights behind that big southpaw left hand, he could switch stances too. If he could just fight behind the long 1-2s, give him the check hooks and just like dominate the middle of the cage, yeah, first round knockout incoming, you know what I mean? But you want to play games and use all of those fancy techniques. Crosby is a tough one, bro. He's a tough one, and he might be able to make some noise right here. He's not a small guy by any means, but Nueraji is not the fastest guy in the world, so he could get caught. I just like the way that he fights. How are you seeing it?
I love the way Nueraji fights, Derick. I mean, long, flashy kicks. He's a little bit reckless on his entries, but that's what makes him fun. He looks to confuse you with volumes, crash in, do damage while he's on the inside. Loves the spinning attacks. I mean, I forget which fight of his I was watching. It was probably the Shemenko, where he was literally like threw like 3 different spinning jump kicks back to back to back. Like, this guy is fun, man. He's flashy, and if he is able to confuse Kiefer Crosbie, at least from the start, right? Have him worried about what's coming back on, because he has a reach advantage. He has a 5-inch reach advantage, a 3-inch height advantage on Crosbie. Crosbie needs to get on the inside to actually put his game to work. And if Nueraji is able to style on him and hit him with something flashy, man, the minus 470 favorite in Nueraji would actually be something worth the while. Whereas now him coming in with his his first fight in the UFC, it's crazy to see a minus 470 favorite.
Bro, I just don't know. I hear what you're saying about he fights long and all that stuff, but like he doesn't always. That's the thing. You have the reach advantage, but he'll get in there in the pocket and like completely mitigate the entire reach advantage. That's why I'm just like, bro, stay long, fight behind the long straight shots. Because if you get in that pocket with Kiefer Crosbie, man, the more chaotic it is, the higher the odds for Crosbie go up. Like I said, you don't got a wrestler here. He's not going to be looking for the submission necessarily here. I do think that the easiest bet for this one is going to be under 1.5 rounds. I have it as minus 185. Maybe you could pull up a live number here.
Yeah, under 1.5 rounds, minus 190. So if that's the play you're looking for, folks, make sure you jump on this line early, because it's probably going to change. I like the under right here too. And if you're a minus 470 favorite and you're not finishing your fights in under 1.5 rounds on a guy who has lost his last 2 fights, like, you need to be something different in right here. I like this Nueraji, and as well as, man, under minus 190. You better get on it before it's 2-1.
Yeah, and I also think that Nueraji by KO, I think that's minus money if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, if you're minus 470, what is it? Minus 135, minus 150?
Minus 140, right on the head.
Right on. Nice. All right, man. Yeah, Nueraji, I just think that this is going to be a good highlight type performance right here. Listen, you got to give the Shanghai fighters some love, the Chinese fighters some love right here. Road to UFC, baby. Let's go. All right, folks, that is the play. I didn't officially play it, but consensus pick, Taya Nueraji. Shout out, homie. You know what I mean? All right, bro. Let's get into the next portion of the program right here. We're going to keep it short and sweet for you guys. We're going to be bringing up our best bets. AJ, you have what was once a fan favorite? I'm still fan favorite at the Bloody Water podcast right here, man. But talk about it. Talk about both these dudes. What you got?
Derick, I'll let the cat out of the bag. I'm not going to bury the lead. My smart corner pick right here is Michel Pereira, versus Kyle Daukaus back in the UFC. Fight not to go the distance at minus money right here, folks. Minus 160 with the Darce Knight. One half of the Daukaus bros back in the UFC. Of course, I'm laying some money on this one right here, folks. And with Paeta being on a 2-fight skid and Daukaus making his return to the UFC, both fighters need to make a statement, but they also can't just run full head steam into the fire, right? The over and under is a 1.5 and at worse odds right there too. The play right here is not to go to distance, especially with how crafty both fighters are, experience they have. I'm not sold on either the over or the under, but I do think this fight is going to get finished by either one of them. So I like this one right here at minus 160.
All right. That's a fun one right there. That's a good pick right there. And folks, I'm going to keep mine super short and sweet. Your sharp corner pick of the week, your best bet this week for me is going to be, and forgive me, Loenair. Listen, the man is good. Kavanaugh versus Charles Johnson. But for Kavanaugh to win by decision at minus 110 right here. The energy, Charles Johnson always makes a good fight competitive, but I'm just going to keep it frank and to the point right here. Kavanaugh, I think, is just the sharper fighter, the younger fighter, the better fighter. I think this man is going to go very, very far. And Charles Johnson, I could see one of these close decisions. And again, one of those, if this was 5 rounds, I would have won this fight. But this is 3 rounds, and Kavanaugh knows how to win. And he's fought wrestlers. He's fought the grapplers. He can grapple himself. So that is your best bet right here. AJ, if you can pull up really quickly, what is the money line for Kavanaugh right now?
Money line for Kavanaugh. Give me 2 seconds, Derick. And I'm pretty sure the name is Loenair while I'm pulling this up, but I could also be Loenair. Minus 215 for Kavanaugh with a plus 172 comeback.
Finishing Charles Johnson, I'm not of that mindset right there. So minus 110, you're getting a very steep discount on a fighter where I do not think you're going to be getting numbers like this in the very near future. That's your best bet right there, folks. Take it to the bank. And to finish us off here today, AJ, I was going to bring up a whole bunch of graphics and stuff like that, but we're just going to talk about meritocracy. We're going to talk about the fight business and the tough 29 winner, Brian Battle, cut from the UFC. 7-1 I believe, if I'm not mistaken. What's his record? One, maybe no contest, right there. That was that fight against the one that we know and love. What's homeboy's name? French dude. Maybe he's not French.
Oh,
The black dude. You know what I mean? He's like,
he
bro,
was
I can't
wow.
see. He's like, I can't see. He's like, but then he was like, oh, I'll kill you. Whoop de whoop, you know? And he was all like, oh, but you can see now, but you won't fight me because you couldn't see what's going on. Anyways, you know what I mean. Bryan Battle, entertaining, bro. Big talker, but you missed weight back to back. First at welterweight, next at middleweight, and it's the third weight miss in your UFC tenure. And you get cut by the UFC brass right here. Surprising move, given that I thought you get all the slack in the world if you're entertaining, but I guess not. How do you see in this?
Yeah, Derek, I guess not. This is one of the ones that confused me because Bryan Battle has all the intangibles in the media side of things to be able to make a huge impact and have a lot of fans going forward. I believe it was the Kevin Jousset fight where he even said, he was like, you think Frenchie? Was it that one?
No, that was the one where he's like, you think I'm gonna lose to a French dude? No, it wasn't that one. It was a black dude. Can you rattle what you got his hit list up right now? Angelusa. There we go. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. That was one. I was thinking about him cutting a promo, right? You think I'm gonna go over here and have Frenchie beat me? Not many people, very few people are able to cut a promo like that. And I thought Entertainment had a lot more weight right here, but I do think the UFC takes some things personal. If you're not going to honor your end of an agreement, your end of a contract, what makes them want to pay you? So I do think business overall took precedent on this one. And Bryan Battle maybe didn't make any friends with the brass, but who knows? Because I do think this is an interesting cut to see. I didn't see this one coming.
Yeah, no, man. And I actually think that I have the ability now really quickly here. Let me go ahead. I think we back and running, baby. All right. So Bryan Battle, here we go. Yeah, that no contest against Angelusa. Look at that, bro. And I mean, like, listen, this dude has a cool name. You have a cool nickname, the Butcher. You know what I mean? You got Dragon Ball tattoos. You dye your hair blonde. Like he's come on. He's the marketing package right here. Push this dude. And yeah, for them to cut him right here, I mean, 3 weight misses is bad. Lack of professionalism. I think they're just trying to prove a point. I think especially with this new deal, this new Paramount deal that the UFC has, where they're like, all right, we're going to give you more Contender Series. We're going to do this. I think they're just saying, listen, you're just a cog in the machine, bro. You know what I mean? Nobody gets to do whatever they want here. We run the show. I think this is more of a statement overall, which then begs to ask the question, do we see Bryan Battle back in the UFC?
I hope so, Derek. I hope so, and I think so. I think we'll see him back, especially if he has a good agent. He's able to work some stuff. I believe even his family did when he was on the Ultimate Fighter, they donated something because he had names in the octagon. I forget exactly what the situation was, but I believe Bryan Battle has everything to be able to come back. He does need to get the weight under miss because it sounds like it's more of a. I agree with you. This is a proving of the point. And with the Paramount deal, we have so many shows going on. We can't have a flaky system. You can flake, you're out.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big fight. You know what I mean? Ruzi Boyev Battle, you know, and for some people, they'd be like, oh, you know, listen, it's the fight game. I remember, you know, you go sign up for a fight or not sign up for a fight. You go and purchase some tickets. You want to go see a fight. And then some of your favorite fights drop out. You're like, dude, like, fuck this. I don't even want to go to the fight no more. It's not even worth it anymore. I remember when it was COVID era right before it hit, man. I was going to go see Angela Hill headline at the Moda Center in Portland, and they scrapped the entire event. And it was like, all right, bro, what are we doing? Obviously, no fault of their own here. But yeah, as a fight fan, man, you do a little professionalism. You know what I mean? That's your job. You sign a contract, honor your contract, no weight bullying. Bryan Battle, we hope to see you back in the UFC. I do, at least, man, because this was the last pick of Tough 29, you know, like Cinderella story. But, you know, what are you going to do? All right, AJ, that's a good place to end it. Folks, UFC Shanghai marks a off week for us next week. Not of our choosing. There's just no UFC fights next week. So enjoy it. You're, again, probably not going to watch it, but who doesn't want to make some money? That is it for us. Until next time, folks. Peace.